My name is Susan Parker. I'm 34 years old. 3 weeks ago, my mother threw my younger sister a surprise birthday party and forgot to tell me it was happening. Not forgot accidentally. Forgot the way people forget a lamp already switched off in another room. I still mailed the gift. I still wrote the card. I still signed it. With love, Susan. Then my grandmother called me and said 7 words that shattered 11 years of silence in my family. Come alone. Don't tell your mother. The next morning, I drove 90 minutes through cold October roads with both hands locked on the steering wheel, rehearsing tragedies in my head. Cancer, stroke, funeral arrangements. I never imagined the real emergency was my entire life. What waited for me on my grandmother's kitchen table was a cedar box no bigger than a hardcover novel. And inside that box was proof my mother had stolen my grandfather's final wish and handed my life to my sister instead. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories, where quiet women finally stop whispering and let the paperwork speak for them. If you've ever been called the strong one, the independent one, or the daughter who supposedly doesn't need much, stay with me. Because this story isn't really about money. It's about what families take from the child who never complains. I'm a contracts attorney in Hartford, Connecticut. I've worked at the same firm for 6 years. I wake up at 5 o'clock every morning, run 3 miles in the dark, and arrive at my desk before most people finish breakfast. I live alone in a small apartment in West Hartford. My couch came from Goodwill. My dresser came from IKEA. Every bill in my life has my name on it and nobody else's. My family called that self-sufficient. For years, I thought it was a compliment. I thought being self-sufficient meant I was dependable, mature, strong. What it actually meant was this. They learned I could survive being forgotten. My mother forgot my 30th birthday until late afternoon. She called from the Costco parking lot while loading groceries into her trunk and said, "Sweetheart, I was going to bake something, but the day got away from me." My sister Vanessa turned 30 6 months later. There was catered food, an ice sculpture, 40 guests, custom invitations. When I graduated with my MBA, my parents skipped the ceremony because Vanessa was tasting wedding cakes. At my grandfather's funeral, while I stood beside his casket, trying not to fall apart, my mother leaned over and whispered, "Can you hold Vanessa's purse? She's emotional." That was my role in the family. Not daughter, not granddaughter, support staff. And for years, I accepted it. Until a Tuesday morning in October. I was at work, half reading contracts and drinking burnt office coffee when I opened Instagram. My cousin Madison had posted photos from Vanessa's surprise birthday party. Balloons, champagne, my parents laughing in the backyard, 22 guests. Everyone had known except me. I stared at the screen so long, my coffee went cold. Then I called my mother. "Mom," I asked carefully, "was there a party for Vanessa on Saturday?" A pause. Too long. "Oh, sweetheart, we were going to tell you." That sentence landed like a knife wrapped in silk. I asked why I wasn't invited. And my mother said the sentence she had probably been saying about me for years. "We just thought you'd be too busy. Too busy, too independent, too fine, too easy to leave out." That night, I still bought Vanessa an expensive candle she'd wanted for months. I still mailed a handwritten birthday card. Because even after years of being forgotten, I still believed love meant trying harder. A week later, my mother invited me to Sunday lunch to make up for it. I went. Vanessa talked through the entire meal about how magical the surprise had been. Then I walked into the kitchen to refill my water. And there it was. My gift, still unopened on the counter, my card still sealed, sitting beneath junk mail and pizza coupons in a house everyone believed belonged to my sister. I didn't cry. I just looked at it quietly and felt something inside me begin to unlock. 3 weeks later, my grandmother called. "Don't tell your mother." The next morning, I drove to her farmhouse in Litchfield County while the trees burned orange and red around the empty roads. She already had coffee waiting when I arrived, but she wasn't acting like herself. Her hands were shaking. Then she disappeared into the dining room and returned carrying a small cedar box with brass corners. I hadn't seen it since I was a child. She set it between us carefully. "Your grandfather asked me to give this to you when you were ready," she said softly. Ready for what? Her eyes filled with something heavier than guilt. The truth. Inside the box were 3 things: a brass key, a sealed letter in my grandfather's handwriting, and a notarized legal document. I unfolded the document first. The title read, "First Codicil to the Last Will and Testament of Theodore J. Whitaker." My stomach dropped. 3 months before he died, my grandfather had changed his will. The farmhouse at 12 Maple Lane, the home my sister had been living in rent-free for years, was supposed to go to me. Not my mother, not Vanessa, me. And there was more. A trust fund worth $185,000 also left to me, irrevocably, free from my mother's control. I thought maybe I was misunderstanding the document. Then I opened the letter. Halfway through page 2, my grandfather wrote the sentence that changed everything. "I know you will be passed over." I read it twice. Then again. "Your mother loves you the way she knows how," he wrote, "but it is less than you deserve." I looked at my grandmother. Why didn't anyone tell me? She stared into her coffee. "Because your mother destroyed the unsigned draft after he died, and I was too afraid to fight her." Then she slid the brass key toward me. Safe deposit box. Downtown Hartford. Everything had been preserved. Everything. For 11 years. I drove home with the cedar box buckled into the passenger seat like a living thing. And somewhere between Litchfield and Hartford, grief finally turned into clarity. By afternoon, I had already pulled county property records. My mother had filed a sworn probate affidavit claiming my grandfather left no codicil, no amendment, no changes. A lie. Then she transferred the farmhouse to Vanessa for $1. $1. I subpoenaed bank records next. The trust fund had paid for Vanessa's MBA, Vanessa's wedding, Vanessa's lifestyle. Every dollar gone. $185,000 erased wire by wire, while I sat in my IKEA apartment, believing I simply hadn't earned the same help. That night I called an estate attorney named Mason Wheeler. The next 6 weeks became war wrapped in silence. We filed quietly, gathered evidence quietly, prepared quietly. Then I invited my family to Sunday lunch. I asked everyone to be there. My parents, Vanessa, my aunts, my cousins, and my grandmother. Sunday arrived cold and gray. I wore the same navy blazer I wear to depositions, because this was one. When I entered my parents' dining room carrying the cedar box, the entire room fell silent. My mother recognized it instantly, even spoke. "Where did you get that?" "Grandma gave it to me." I set the cedar box beside my briefcase. Then I began removing documents one by one. The codicil, the property records, the bank withdrawals, the forensic accounting report, my grandfather's letter, and finally, the unopened birthday card I had mailed Vanessa weeks earlier. Still sealed, still unread. I placed it gently beside the legal documents. Then I read my grandfather's words aloud. "He knew you'd be passed over." Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Vanessa started crying first. "What do you mean my house isn't mine?" My mother exploded. After everything she'd sacrificed, after everything she'd done for this family. And for the first time in my life, I interrupted her. calmly. You spent my money. Silence. Then I repeated her own words back to her. I thought you'd be too busy. My father finally admitted he had known about the codicil all along. He had simply done nothing. That hurt almost more than the theft, because betrayal from weakness still leaves scars. 6 months later, probate court reversed everything. The farmhouse legally transferred to me. The fraudulent affidavit was vacated. My mother was ordered to repay part of the stolen trust money. Vanessa had 90 days to move out. The family split down the middle after that. Some people stopped speaking to my mother entirely. Others pretended none of it had happened. But something strange happened to me in the aftermath. I got quieter, not weaker, clearer. I moved into my grandfather's farmhouse the following spring. I repaired the loose porch railing he never got to fix before he died. The cedar box now sits on the mantel in the living room. Empty. Its job finished. Sometimes people ask if winning felt good. It didn't feel good. It felt accurate. That's different, because the truth wasn't that my family forgot me. The truth was worse. They remembered me perfectly. They just believed I would survive receiving less. And for 34 years, they were right. Until the day I stopped accepting it.